The fallout from the Disney Sony SpiderMan debacle continues, and I'm happy that Disney got put in their place for once, but I don't think that Sony will creatively save the character. This is 2019, and every major franchise and character is being systematically destroyed by the forces of mediocrity and wokeness. But I am happy that Disney and Marvel are getting what they deserve. They spent a decade building the MCU and decided to throw everything out the window for the sake of their own misguided and hateful ideological imperatives. Phases 1 to 3 of the MCU gave us 22 good films. And then there's that other one. I'll let you all figure out which one that was. Now things are going to go downhill for the MCU. While it will still be profitable for a while, I think we will eventually see it fall into obscurity. Some of this is beyond their control. The loss of Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. was always going to be a serious problem for the MCU. But Phase 4 is only going to make things worse. Much worse. And they are bringing this on themselves. What are we getting? A Black Widow movie that is half a decade too late that now looks to be turning into a woke mess. The Eternals, which is going to be another lesson in diversity and inclusion with its one token white dude surely only there for disparagement. Another lesson in diversity and inclusion with Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, which will probably be the closest thing we'll get to the pre-Phase 4 MCU, but almost certainly with a heavy dose of woke. Thor, Love and Thunder, which will see Chris Hemsworth, the most bankable star they have left, emasculated while his hammer is given to Natalie Portman. Then we have a Black Panther sequel that nobody will be able to criticize without being called racist. Also, let's not forget the Captain Nasty sequel, where she will be crowned Queen of the MCU now that Spider-Man's gone. And then we get to watch Fantastic Four get screwed up again. And then we have Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which in addition to Black Widow was the only film I was looking forward to, but not so much anymore, because I think we know what direction they'll take it in. I tend to think that Disney was banking on Spider-Man to hold this mess together, which was evidenced by Spider-Man Far From Home. What are they left with now? Well, aside from a few pre-Phase 4 holdovers, they have nothing to work with. Let's also not forget the measures that were taken to protect Captain Marvel. Also, let's not forget the Ollie Jones situation, which was the most despicable story I have covered in my decade plus on YouTube. Then there's this story. Daughter sides with Sony over Disney in Spider-Man MCU Split. The late Stan Lee, who co-created Spider-Man, would have been happy over the news that Sony pumped the brakes on giving Disney control of his character. So says his daughter. What's this now? Sony's move to limit control over Spider-Man and potentially remove the superhero entirely from Disney's Marvel Cinematic Universe is one that was necessary and something Stan would have appreciated. So says his daughter, Joan Celia J.C. Lee. Say it isn't so. As we know, reports surfaced Tuesday that Sony and Disney reached a standstill in negotiating Spidey's future under Disney's umbrella, including any Avengers spin-offs and sequels. Insiders told Deadline it was all about money, which almost surely it was. Disney wanted a 50-50 stake in Spider-Man related revenue, and also wanted Marvel honcho Kevin Feige to be the guiding hand. Welp, Sony was reportedly not too down with that. Nope, no they weren't. They own the rights to Spider-Man, and until now had partnered with Disney to crank out these last few films. That's all over now. As for how the Lees feel about it, JC tells us, Marvel and Disney seeking total control of my father's creations must be checked and balanced by others who, while still seeking to profit, have genuine respect for Stan Lee and his legacy, aka cameos don't cut it. I tend to agree here. Using a time-honored franchise to push ideologies that only a minority of the population at large supports is just a tad disrespectful. She goes on, whether it's Sony or someone else's, the continued evolution of Stan's characters and his legacy deserves multiple points of view. Agreed, but we aren't getting multiple points of view in modern entertainment. Now are we? When my father died, no one from Marvel or Disney reached out to me. From day one, they have commoditized my father's work and never shown him or his legacy any respect or decency. Wow, Disney, that's cold. Also, it's quite low that Stan Lee was firmly against changing Spider-Man's sexual orientation. And no, not because he was homophobic, because the character was clearly straight. And what did Disney do? Well, only a few months after his passing, rumors started to circulate that Spider-Man might be gay in the future. Really classy, Disney. JC's parting words. In the end, no one could have treated my father worse than Marvel and Disney's executives. Ouch. Ouch indeed. But given what Disney is doing to the Marvel universe now, i.e. merely using it as a means to push sexist and racist ideologies, I'd say there is probably some truth to this. Now let's take a look at the question. Is Spider-Man better off with Sony? The answer is probably no. But then, as I said, this would be true regardless of what film studio he ended up with. The entire entertainment industry has been overtaken by ideologues. This should be obvious, as we've seen practically every long-term franchise destroyed by wokeness. Most fans don't like it, but the studios don't care. Profit now seems to take a backseat to ideology. The good news is that the entertainment industry will eventually impale itself on the stake of ideology, and hopefully we can get quality entertainment again. At Sony, Spider-Man is now fully under the control of Tom Rothman and Amy Pascal. For those of you that don't know who Rothman is, well, just as an example, he was responsible for the two worst entries in the X-Men franchise. Well, prior to Dark Phoenix anyway, during his time at Fox. He also turned down the idea for a Deadpool film and was responsible for having the character's mouth sewn shut in the abomination that was X-Men Origins Wolverine. Then there's Amy Pascal, who was directly responsible for taking the third Ghostbusters film from Ivan Reitman and handing it to Paul Feig, resulting in that amazing pile of steaming shit known as Ghostbusters 2016. The film that single-handedly launched the third-wave feminist SJW woke mess that has since destroyed pretty much everything. So while we can be glad that Spidey was saved from the woke mess that will be Phase 4, there's still nothing stopping a woke mess from being made at Sony. Even without the involvement of Pascal, it will still probably be a woke mess, because everything is a woke mess now. So, the argument could easily be given that Spider-Man's future is a lose-lose situation. Again, like every franchise at the moment. But I'm happy that this has screwed Disney. Like many people, I have no interest in Phase 4. For many of us, Endgame and Far From Home were the end of the real MCU, and were a nice send-off, generally speaking. What we will see going forward is the MCU in name only. For many of us, the MCU is as dead as Star Wars, as Doctor Who, as Star Trek, as James Bond, as Terminator, as Men in Black, as dead as almost everything we used to love. Our only real victory here is Disney has been told to shove it up their asses and have screwed themselves, because what they have left to work with is laughable. And that's it for today. Don't forget to subscribe, and make sure you're still subscribed, because YouTube is deleting subscribers. And follow me on Twitter. And as always, everyone, thank you for watching, and have a great day.